Good morning, everybody. All right, so this month we have been focusing on Charles Fillmore's book called Prosperity, and it is a New Thought classic. And I think we have a couple copies left in the bookstore if you'd like to pick one up today. It just explores a really deep and timely message and has just beautiful ideas of how to live a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas of your life. And before we get into our topic today, which is called Let God Pay Your Debt, isn't that a little bit of an intriguing topic? Yeah, we like that. Yeah, God, yay, God. I want to share with you some information about the 4 phases of spiritual. We love that, don't we? We love that early stage where we hear this truth or this principle that we had never heard before, and we know in our hearts that it's just absolutely the truth, and we get this aha moment, and the light bulb goes off, and an idea hits that you've never had before, and it can feel really mind-blowing, right? And it's wonderful. We love that. And you vow you will never forget that, and you're going to practice it every day from here forward. But often what happens is once you knew that was coming, right? But once you leave the center, close the book, walk out of therapy, leave the lecture hall, you go, now what was that? Great idea. Seems like I kind of forgot it. But I know it was really cool. Well, I know what I'll do. I'll buy the CD and I'll listen to it again. Or watch the video recording of it or whatever. And but not right now because I'm kind of busy, but I'll get to it. Anybody been there? Yeah. The second phase is called familiarity. You hear a truth you've heard before and you think, oh yeah, I remember that. And it's not particularly exciting because you have heard it before, but it fits where you're at right now and what you're dealing with, and it applies to an issue that you're working on. And so it becomes very useful, and you're glad that you heard that again, and you say, I need to remember it this time. And maybe you do, and maybe you don't. The third phase is called the bored stage. And this is when you've heard it all before, and it feels like there's nothing new to learn. And so you tune out. You know the words, I already knew that. And you go on to something different because you want something new and exciting. But here's the deal with the bored phase. It could be more accurately described or labeled as deep familiarity. Now, have you ever heard that little whatever it is, little saying that says familiarity breeds contempt? It kind of works like that way. It's not really true spiritual knowledge. It's a phase where many of us will just bail and check out because, been there, done that, boring. And then we're left wondering, well, why doesn't this stuff work in my life? Okay? Now, we only reach the spiritual knowledge phase when we know the principle of truth before someone brings it up and reminds us, or more importantly, when we're actually living it. We're living that spiritual truth. And we don't need to be prompted by anything or have it heard again, that it is just absolutely singing. It is shining and it is singing through everything that we do. And we aren't bored at hearing it again because what it does is it confirms to us that we're on the right track. And isn't that always nice to know? All right, I'm good. I don't know why we have that need to just feel we're on track, but we do, right? It just feels good to go, okay, just for a moment to feel like we know what the heck's going on, right? Because there is confusion. So this takes us kind of full circle to what we spoke about last week with abundance consciousness. And I handed out some cards so that everyone would have them to keep close so that you could be reminded of it. And we have some left over. I put them on the table in the back. And there's also 40-day abundance journals. So please help yourself to those and utilize them because they're just great little tools to have. But this is what abundance consciousness means. It means that you are thinking from, feeling from, believing from, speaking, acting, and reacting from a place that says, from substance I was created, in substance I live, move, and have my being. By substance I am fed and prospered. The spiritual substance is steadfast, immovable, enduring, ever the same, constant, abundant, freely circulating, and available. That's good, yeah? That's some good stuff. So that's spiritual knowledge. When you are coming from that place of plenty in every way that your consciousness works, thinking, feeling, believing, acting, when you're coming from that ground, that solid ground of substance, things flow really nicely. So some of the ideas we're going to explore today are going to be like, pow, wow, I never knew that. Okay? It's going to be a new, amazing idea. And some it may be phase 2. I've heard that before, but that's useful. It fits in my life, so I'm glad I'm here. The third phase, ho-hum, bored. Been there, done that. I think I'll take a little cat nap now. And if you want to go there, of course you can, but what I want to do is invite you particularly to pay attention because you are standing at the precipice. You're standing at the brink of really knowing the spiritual principle. And I mean knowing it as opposed to knowing about it. Huge difference. That's what spiritual knowledge is knowing it in your life versus just having intellectual knowledge about it. And when you know it, when it is embodied and rooted and grounded in your being, then you will be speaking, acting, believing, feeling, thinking from this plenty, from this substance. And outside stimulus will not need to be present in order to spark a remembrance. You will be living it. It will be you. So my intention here today is that something becomes spiritual knowledge for you. Something becomes deeply embodied in your being. So let's figure out how to have God pay our debts, okay? We all ready for that? Okay, come on now. All right, I want to focus on 3 passages out of Charles Fillmore's book, Prosperity, that will support us in this idea of letting God pay our debts. The first passage from the book says this: I owe no man anything but love. Doesn't mean that we disclaim owing our creditors or try to evade the payment of obligations we've incurred, but rather the thing denied is the burdensome thought of debt or lack. See, we're always working at the level of consciousness. Fill your mind with thoughts of divine love, justice, peace, and forgiveness. This will pay your debts of love, which are the only debts you really owe. Then see how quickly, easily, and naturally all your other outer debts will be paid, and all the inharmonious aspects of your mind, body, and affairs smoothed out and free from every thought of lack, as the realization of divine love is flowered in you. Divine love will quickly and perfectly free you, adjust all misunderstandings, and make your life and affairs healthy, happy, harmonious, and free as they should be. So where are you at with the spiritual truth contained within that passage? Phase 1? Anybody in phase 1? Wow, it's a new concept. How about, I forgot that, but I can apply it today. Phase 2. All right. What about ho-hum? I've heard it before. Been there, done that. Oh, you're not even going to raise your hand for that one, are you? Okay. I guess you all then, we have a really enlightened, evolved group, I have to say. Yes, I know it's true because I've lived it in my life. All right, the rest of you raise your hand. Okay, very good, yeah. Well, we know Reverend Franklin has. The most powerful part of that whole thing for me is this. Fill your mind with thoughts of divine love, justice, peace, and forgiveness. Then see how quickly, easily, and naturally all your outer debts will be paid. Let's do it as an experiment, shall we? Okay, this week, let's just fill our mind with thoughts of divine love. Remember a few weeks ago when I taught you the heart-mind coherence technique? How many of you, raise your hand if you remember that? Okay, there's a few of you. Okay, and it comes from Heart Math Institute. And what it's about is that there are 40,000 brain cells, sensory neurites, located in the heart. Your heart intelligence is brilliant beyond what you can even imagine. And what this meditation does is it connects the sensory neurites of the heart brain with the head brain. And as you do the meditation, it brings it into coherence. It gives us access to higher brain functioning, to divine wisdom, to intuition, and to physical healing. I have been using this so much, and I cannot even tell you how powerful this is. And I want to do it with you again today because I really want to anchor it into your consciousness as a beautiful tool that you can use in any moment that you feel discombobulated in any sense, stressed in any sense. What you do is you bring your awareness and you bring it into the heart. So you just think from right here as opposed to being kind of caught up in this part. So, and it may help to touch your heart area or to place your hand on it, so you're welcome to do that. And I want you to begin to slow your breathing down. Okay, and if it helps to just gently close your eyes, please feel free to do that. And just let yourself breathe naturally, but just slow it down. And what I want you to do is to have 5 counts in and 5 counts out. And this just will help your body relax and know that it's safe. And you're going to breathe from the heart. So just imagine as you take in your breath that it is coming in through that heart center. And as you exhale, it's breathing out through that heart center. 5 counts in and 5 counts out. And just continue to do that for a couple of minutes. And what I'd like you to do, in addition to what I've just described, is to the best of your ability, I want you to feel care, appreciation, gratitude, or compassion. Feel care, appreciation, gratitude, or compassion. And just gently bring your awareness How's everyone feeling? Do you feel some of the coherence that's happening? Yeah. It's a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful tool. Now, what in the world does this have to do with getting out of debt? I wonder. I think that Fillmore has some insight on this. This is the second passage I'd like to share with you. The way is now open for you to pay your debts. And I would say just the fact that you've gotten in a real nice, beautiful, relaxed heart space and that nothing is stressed, that's a beautiful place to begin. Surrender your debts to God along with all of your doubts and fears. God's power, love, and wisdom are here, for God's kingdom is within you. Give God full dominion over your life and your affairs. Give God your business, your family affairs, your finances, and let God pay your debts, which is happening even now. For it's God's righteous desire to free you from every burden. Meet every insidious thought, such as I can't, I don't know how, I don't see a way, with the declaration that the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. The funds to pay all your bills may not suddenly appear in all one lump sum, but as you watch and work and pray, holding yourself in the consciousness of God's leadership and abundance, you will notice that your funds begin to grow. Here a little, there a little, and increasingly and more rapidly, as your faith increases and your anxious thoughts are stilled, for with the increase comes added good judgment and wisdom and the management of all your affairs. Debt is soon vanquished when wisdom and good judgment are in control. Does it feel a little lighter? Anybody here? Oh, you're so welcome, honey. Now, I want to share an example of how this works. We have a friend and colleague who had a huge debt. And a few of you might have heard this before, but it's such a powerful story, and many of you haven't, that I just want to share it again. Her husband had gone in for extensive heart surgery. And they did an 8-hour open heart surgery on him, and he was in the cardiac ICU for 2 weeks. And then he went home, and after a month of being okay, his heart started fluttering again, and it went into a funky rhythm. And so they went back to the hospital that they were at to have him put under so that they could shock it back into normal rhythm. And as they were checking in, the woman told them that they would need to pay for this procedure that day because of their large bill that they still owed. And they actually hadn't even received a bill yet, so they weren't sure about this. But the woman turned her computer around to them, and the screen showed that they owed $490,000. Can you imagine that? Well, she said, well, we both had heart attacks right then and there. But as this woman began to calculate things, she factored in the insurance payments and that sort of thing, and it ended up coming to $170,000. Well, our friend, her mind went to, okay, we already owe the $30,000 of the bills that came in, so that means we're going to owe about $200,000. And so that shocked her husband's heart back into rhythm, and they didn't have to, no, they didn't. They just put a $100 deposit down and said, well, we'll check you later, So she needed a lot of surrender, because those insidious words that Charles Fillmore says to banish from your mind were definitely playing. I can't. I don't know how. I cannot see a way for this. I mean, imagine being in that position. And since they couldn't figure it out, the only thing that they could do was surrender. When all else fails, surrender, right? Which is, gosh, if we could just get that the first time. Surrender this debt to God, along with all the doubts, all the fears, all the I don't know hows. And Fillmore said, give God full dominion in your life and affairs. Give God your business, your family affairs, your finances, and let God pay your debts. So, I want to just check in with you all right now. Where are you with this? Anyone here have concern about debt, about how in the world that's going to be taken care of? Not sure how that's ever going to be paid. Here's the really important question. If you have a yes to any of that, or even a maybe, is it time to give it up to God? What she did, our friend, she started working with a practitioner at this time. And the practitioner said to her, look, you either believe in lack or abundance. Which is it? It can't be both. Well, she didn't really like that very much, but it was kind of that in-your-face, rubber meets the road kind of thing that she needed to hear. And so if you can think about it like this, that if you're in such a moment right now, just see your consciousness laid out before you with a fence running down the middle. And remember that scene from The Wizard of Oz with Dorothy, where she's walking on that fence and the pigs and the mire are on one side, and she's teeter-tottering and she ends up falling into the pig pen? Well, it's kind of like that. It's like you can't really walk that fence. You're going to fall one side or the other, so which side is it? Is it lack or is it abundance? And if you're in the midst of trying to figure that out, then you're already kind of halfway toppled over into the pig pen. Now, if you fall on that side, you're not giving the universe the opportunity to create miracles in your life and in your affairs. And this really was kind of a miracle, because here's what happened with her. She's working diligently with her practitioner. She's living on the side. She's made the decision, I'm living on the side of abundance. Burdens are all given over to God. Then the hospital bill arrives. And guess what? It wasn't $170,000. It was only $43,000. $43,000, yes. I know, that doesn't really sound all that exciting, but just wait. She never thought that, she was kind of excited. She never thought she'd be so excited over a bill for $43,000. It's all relative, right? And she would have, at any other time, probably fallen dead away from that. But now she was jumping for joy. Oh, goody, just $43,000. Well, she had an insurance broker friend who she asked to make sure that all the doctor and hospital bills were correct and accurate, and she authorized her to call the hospital and get an itemized list, because they hadn't itemized anything, they just had what they owed. And when she went to the hospital rep, she says, it's interesting that you have a bill here for $43,000, because we're showing that she owes $26,000. Well, this is getting good, but there's more. Then the hospital rep said, hang on just a second, let me check something. She came back online. She says, I see here we just received a check from the insurance company for $26,000. So the account is paid in full. They don't owe anything. Yeah. The true story. I'm not kidding. True story, minister friend of ours. So God definitely paid that debt and will pay yours as well. Perhaps not the same way, but in a way that will be perfectly beautiful for you. The final passage that I want to share from Prosperity is Charles Fillmore did a little rewrite of the Lord's Prayer, and he calls it a prosperity treatment. So this will be our closing. He said, "The Lord is my banker. My credit is good. He maketh me to lie down in the consciousness of omnipresence and abundance. He giveth me the key to his stronghold box. He restoreth my faith in his riches. He guideth me in the paths of prosperity for his name's sake. Yea, though I may walk in the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy silver and thy gold, they secure me. Thou preparest a way for me in the presence of thy collector. Thou filleth my wallet with plenty. My measure runneth over. Surely goodness and plenty will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall do business in the name of the Lord forever. Amen."